are.
Okay, can I have your attention, please? Before we say the pledge, will anyone be taping this meeting tonight? Okay, Mark, of course, Nancy, Cable TV, that's it? Okay. Hey, if you can rise and for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, because of a scheduling conflict, the item is 640, update on purchase and sale, elementary school with Ruth Miller. That's going to be moved up to just after 6 o'clock after we act on cover for annual report. Okay, accept motion to accept the minutes of March 5th, 2012, and one at 6:30.
Move to accept the minutes of March 5th meeting at 6:30.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion, corrections, or changes? Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
I abstain, I was absent.
Okay, thank you. And yes. Okay, discuss and act on cover for annual report. It says 11, but it should be 13. I'm FY12.
It's 11. It's 11.
It is 11? Right, I stand corrected, FY11. And there's two pictures here. One of the World War Monument was just refurbished, and the gazebo on the common. Those are our two choices. Anybody have any thoughts? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, Tim? Yeah. Yes, Doug.
Yeah, you've done on other reports the gazebo, so I would recommend you go with the monument.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyone have any other comments? All right, I'll accept the motion to go with the World War I memorial.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, Ruth? Update on the purchase and sale.
This is going to be fairly quick. We, Kirk, Sue, and I went and had a meeting with the bank. They have some new administrators at the bank and the bank's lawyer. We had a great conversation about the purchase and sales and what's transpired prior and some of the issues around it. We don't have any real resolutions or information tonight. The bank has to go back to its board on the 24th, and then they're going to get in touch with us. And at that time, I'll come back and give you a full kind of update about the, you know, the whole prospect of the purchase and sales and moving forward. So I just wanted to come back to kind of close the loop that we did go. We had the meeting. It was a very productive meeting, and we don't have a lot of information, but we got a lot of our questions answered, and they had a few questions, and now they need to go back and make some decisions through the board. Cool.
Any questions?
You're welcome. Thank Thank you.
Hold on, Drew. Yes, Monkey.
Sorry, I'm going back to facilities.
Didn't quite get away.
No, I didn't, I tried.
I'm a little confused.
You're
Okay,
confused.
because, of course, I'm just reading the newspaper. I read in the newspaper where once we entered a purchase and sale agreement, we would go ahead with a feasibility study and a schematic design for the school.
Correct.
That's what it said. We came into a meeting on Monday where the Board of Selectmen voted not to enter a purchase and sale agreement, but for you to go forward like you have just reported.
And negotiate.
The day after,
Yep.
Tuesday, in the Gardner News, it said that this gave you the go-ahead to do a feasibility study and a schematic. And it seems to me, with the way finances are in this town, I don't know how much that would cost. I imagine at least $200,000 to do those functions. Are we going ahead with those two processes? The feasibility study on land that we don't own, and a schematic drawing for the school. That seems to me a contradiction.
That was a great question. So the question was, if you hadn't heard it, he wants to know if we're moving forward with the feasibility study and the schematic design on land we do not own and currently do not have a purchase and sale. And the answer to that question is no. We are in the process of negotiating a potential purchase and sale with this piece of property. We talked to the MSBA, and on the fact that we had some land that we were potentially going to enter into an agreement with, they extended our feasibility study, which was due to expire on June 10th. They understood that negotiating and looking at this purchase and sales could take up to a month, and they were okay with that. If in fact we don't move forward with this purchase, this piece of land, we're going to go back to the MSBA and have another conversation with them if for some reason this particular deal does not work out.
So the bottom line is we're not going to spend any more money on the feasibility.
At this time, not until we know solidly how we're going to move forward. And while we're negotiating and the conversations, that's not solidly knowing how we're moving forward, so we would not spend any more money. However, if we find a piece of property, either land, town-owned or purchase and sales, whatever, then we would move forward, but we'd come back to the selectmen to get their blessing on the direction that we're going.
I would just hate to see us spend money.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of spending money either, but we do have some money in the feasibility still. But we're not moving forward with that until we know the direction we're going
We
in.
have to be very careful, because whenever we say we have some more money, they'll remember it's taxpayers' money.
I totally understand that. Yes?
How much has been spent already on the school project?
I don't have that complete detail with me tonight, but when I come back about the purchase and sales, I could bring that information. I didn't bring it with me tonight.
Did you hire a man to work?
Carl Weber is the OPM of the project. He actually works for the select board. He, not the school. The school is helping because you're building a school, but it's really a town project. And so the OPM, Carl Weber, is really working for the town, and he's worked with, well, he's been working for the last 40 years with different people throughout the town.
Bobby, I'm not done yet. How much have they spent already on this project to nowhere?
Nobody probably has that information with them tonight because we weren't prepared to make that presentation, but I can bring that information back to you at a later date. Okay? Yeah? I think you pointed it to you.
A very important thing happened here on Monday, I thought. The cemetery department came before the Board of Selectmen in regards to a bid. And when the gentleman approached a member of the Cemetery Commission, Mr. Paul Sari, got a chair and moved and sat right next to him to give support. I would hope that when you come back in front of the taxpayers, that I never see a member of the school committee here in support of this project. I see no member of the building committee sitting with you in support of this project.
We have the
You
chair
sit-
here.
Yeah, but they should be sitting next to you.
Here she comes.
That's, that's very important. I think that.
Carrie Koschel, our
And I
new
wish
chair of the committee.
chair- At least the chair of the school committee would be here also to help answer questions.
Carrie Koschel's the new chair. We just, we didn't really we did reorganize. And she's the new chair, and she went to MSBA with us on Monday. And she made a passionate speech about the town's need, but also the town's desire to support its kids with a new elementary school. And so she's been a real advocate. You want to say something? Okay, there you go. Mike doesn't go that far. I don't know, you can maybe.
We're looking for a piece of land, we go by it every day, we can buy this piece of land right next to us for $150,000. It's 15 acres of land, and all borders right there, nobody doesn't consider that happening.
Actually, we have, and tonight probably isn't the night to go through all of them, but we have looked at it. We've, we looked at it, we analyzed it, it's wet, just like many of the other sites in town. We can give you a full detailed report of every site we've looked at in town, but that one is in addition wet. Yep, I
I got a
guess.
question. That piece of land that you guys are looking at up there, it looks pretty nice, but it's too bad that it's gonna have to be sent, needs going. But it's the only property in town that you could build a mall or anything to bring some revenue into this town. To talk about the old Brooks land, everybody said that's too wet, but they said it would cost maybe $1 million to make it right. But you're gonna spend $1 million anyway. Why not fix that and still have this nice piece of land? You could have some business come to the town.
Tonight's probably not the night to answer all these, but I have to tell you, we are considering all aspects of that when we're looking at a site. As you know, I'm not even an action superintendent yet, but I just, became a little bit more involved in the school building project. There are some other sites that aren't, commercial. So I guess if you can just give us a chance, the building committee, a little bit longer to kind of look deeply into everything, and we will come back, the building committee, with a solution that we think is going to be really good for the town and cost effective as well.
Here on the left, is that Lee?
Yes, I just wanted to know if the town would be interested in signing the not so much on our plate as it is.
Can't hear you.
I mean, we're just piling the debt on top of, why sign it first? I don't think the town can handle that right now.
And that's why the select board made the vote that they did on Monday night, which was not to sign the purchase and sale, but to look into and negotiate and see what that, if that land's feasible, and if the price is feasible, and if all the conditions are feasible. And that's what we're doing. So, no, we're not signing it, and we would come back to the select board with many more details and answers to all the questions people had the other night.
I just want to point out that I think one of the important things here, I know there's a lot of questions about where and what about this piece and all that, but the important thing was what came of our meeting and what is continuing is that Ruth Miller, Kirk, and myself, well, we're doing this, we get paid, but Kirk is, Kirk's doing this for nothing. But it's not costing the town any additional money right now, and we're right now looking into, and we're doing the research on it as opposed to handing it off to Copeland and Page to do the research. I'm doing my end of the research on this property, and Kirk's doing some stuff. So it's, with this project, with this proposed land right now, what we're doing and what we'll know more by the 24th is not costing the taxpayers anything than my regular salary and Ruth's regular salary. So, you know, and I'm doing, I don't know, I'm sure you're doing it on your extra time at night. That's what I'm doing, you know, I'm on the computer researching stuff. So, like I said, Kirk does it for nothing, so.
Just a quick question. Can you give us an approximate time when you're going to be able to present this information? It just seems like all of our questions are not just you individually, but it just seems that it's like, oh, later, another day, you know.
The 24th. The bank said of April, the 24th of April, the bank said they'd get back to us, and then we will, you know, Sue and I will kind of digest it, and then I don't know when the next board meeting will be, but we'll come back and give you the answers and the information based on what they said, okay? Announcement?
Okay, Toyota Camry, silver or gray, license plate 499, your lights are on.
Yeah,
I have one suggestion. Many years ago, I spent quite a bit of time with our town tax man.
Thanks.
I was interested when this young gentleman that works for this company went out and we advertised for bids for land for this school. And they've done it, I guess, 3 times?
4 times.
4 times. Never once did I hear this gentleman or anyone on the school building committee project the concept that maybe before you go out for bid, you consider looking at the tax map, which he has in great detail. No question about that. But there is a possibility that you could take several parcels of land. Years ago, we voted a 1-acre lot for residential purposes with 150-foot frontage. We have 22 parcels of land, abutting parcels where people maybe own 3, 4, 8 acres, that they could be left with an acre of land with their home. And if their backland contingent parcels were combined, you would have the necessary land for your school. And one of the places in town that you maybe should consider, rather than think of one piece of land, is when you leave this building and head toward Wambo, you have several homes that have acreage behind, which are dry. The back part, it is wet. You maybe would find that you could buy the land from 3 different landowners and combine them, and you would have your acreage. And I never heard anyone consider that appropriate.
We actually did consider that, and it came to a town vote. There was 2 parcels of land on Baldwinville Road that they talked to both owners, and it was backland and ended up being really wetland. I know, and I hear you. Carl has looked at the tax map, the maps.
All set?
Yeah, I'm set.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, this is, all set. To answer your question, Bill, I look back at my notes, and on the Selectmen's meeting, March 12, 2012, how much had been spent had came up, and that's the night Carl Weber was here, and I asked him about it. The invoice at that time for that week reflected that $170,000 had been spent so far, and half of that amount was for directly related to land search, which is not reimbursable. So that's 170 out of the 550,000 that was voted. Yet there's a $989,000 contract referenced on the invoices, but that's how much has been spent, at least reflected on the invoice at that meeting.
Thank you. All right. The Discuss, respond to open meeting law violation complaint filed by Jeffrey Bennett on March 30th, 2012. I'll read the complaint, and then I'll read the response, and then the board can make some comments and decide what you wish to do. On Monday, March 5th, 2012, 690 Patriots Road, conference room, which is a posted capacity of 47 people total. The meeting was properly posted in correct amount of time. As the meeting began, it was clear the room was at capacity with people in the hallway unable to enter because of public safety. The count for people in the hallway was 37 people unable to see or hear the meeting. After many in attendance complained of the capacity not being able to hear, I informed Chairman I was leaving and would file an open meeting law violation. Intentional in parentheses. I understand after watching the video of said meeting, it was canceled shortly after I left. This was about 15 to 20 minutes into the meeting schedule. Some people left, but many stayed. A second planned budget hearing took place, properly posted. You can watch the video of said meeting and see a police officer standing in the doorway of the conference room as if blocking entrance. As the budget hearing went forward, the chairman asked the police officer if they could hear the meeting. Police officer responded, I can hear fine, but I can't speak for people in the hallway. Police officer was Sergeant Mike Bennett, no relation. This was the second time in a row that a meeting was scheduled and posted for this location and stopped because of overcrowding and people wanting to attend but prevented after orders from the fire chief to halt because of public safety. To begin or continue a meeting of open public nature after seeing the crowd and with a police officer standing in the doorway as a blocking entrance into a meeting it must be to me a clear intentional violation of the open meeting law. There is no solution other than punishment for the poor handling of a second situation. When the number of people is observable, you cancel the meeting and look for a larger venue, ASAP. You do not post a police officer in the doorway and conduct the meeting because we have important issues to deal with. It is the sole responsibility of the chairman to post the meeting and to make the correct call if a meeting is to proceed or not. This is a clear case of a meeting that should never have begun at all. This was the second meeting in a row that was overcrowded. People come to a meeting, the law says you cannot exclude them. By doing so, Mr. Robert Columbus intentionally violated the open meeting law and did not allow the very people he is supposed to represent to attend their meeting. I request the Attorney General deal with this matter in an expedient manner, as it is, in my opinion, a very serious violation of not only the office of elected official, but of the trust of the people. Down below, in what action you wish in response to the complaint, the public body chairman has moved the meeting to a larger venue for now. That does not fix the intentional past violation of open meeting law. The only fix is a fine as per the law. This was not an accidental forgetting to open a door or posting the wrong time. It was an intentional violation to even discuss one thing while people were unable and prevented from entering by way of a police officer in the doorway. Irrational judgment on part of the chair. I'll read the response. Dear Mr. Bennett, the Board of Selectmen has received your open meeting law complaint, a copy of which is enclosed regarding 2 meetings held on March 5th, 2012. As you know, your complaint, you are also a member of the Board of Selectmen. You alleged that during the first meeting of the Board of Selectmen, which had been noticed and scheduled for 6 p.m., the meeting room unexpectedly became filled to excess capacity. Approximately 37 people were listening in the hallway. The local cable television crew, which has a control room outside the meeting room, opened its door and turned up the sound system so that people listening in the hallway could hear that was being discussed. Nevertheless, after the first two items on the agenda were reached, a complaint was made to the board that the people in the hallway weren't able to hear or participate in the meetings. The board reacted promptly by voting to adjourn the meeting. As you know, you decided to leave town hall altogether. On the same evening, a second and separate meeting had been noticed and scheduled for 6:30. By that time, many people had left and the crowding problem had eased. To make sure that crowding was no longer an issue, the Board of Selectmen had a count done of the people present before proceeding. Despite the fact that you were not there for the second meeting, you alleged that a police officer was blocking the doorway to the meeting room during it. This representation is not consistent with the memory of the other board members. Instead, the officer... Please. Okay. Instead, the police officer was present to assist in keeping order during a budget meeting anticipated to be contentious. He was standing to one side of the doorway, which is allowed passage for anyone who wished to enter or exit the room. The Board of Selectmen received no complaints that evening or afterward until your complaint, that people were unable to enter or exit the room due to the presence of the police officer, as no one experienced difficulty passing him. Following the incidents of overcrowding, the Board of Selectmen worked with the Town Council in consultation with the Division of Open Government to find the best solution to unexpected overcrowding of a meeting room. As you know, your complaint, the Board has moved its meeting to a larger venue, and you acknowledge in your complaint that the new venue has addressed the overcrowding problem. The Board of Selectmen has received training on the open meeting law. The Board of Selectmen acted in compliance with the spirit and letter of the law by reacting promptly to the complaint that people were having difficulty participating into the first meeting due to overcrowding by adjourning the meeting. The board further acted in compliance with the open meeting law by ensuring that the overcrowding had eased before proceeding with its next meeting, and by relocating its meeting to a larger venue for subsequent meetings. Is there any questions or comments from members of the board?
I have just one question. On the bottom here of this letter, the last page, it says KID, CC, Division of Open Government, and then it has a 6-digit number, it says temp 0047. I believe that's K. Doyle of Copeland and Page. And it's my understanding that the open meeting law says if you make a complaint, you make it to the complaint of the body involved, and the body can...
Can you grab the mic? People are having trouble.
Thank you. It's my understanding of the open meeting law that if you make a complaint, you write your complaint and you file it, and it goes to the body that you're complaining about, and the body is to respond, and if the complainant is not happy, then you can appeal it. So did the chair write this response to my complaint, or was this come from Copeland and Page? Because it has KID, CC, Division of Open Government, and it has the 6-digit number that it seems each attorney from Copeland and Page has as like an identification number. And I asked this question because you said my response is this. So did you write this response, or was this handed off to Copeland and Page?
We sent this along to Copeland and Page to get a response for this meeting tonight, and also to send along to the Attorney General's office. Anybody else on the board have anything else? It's the board's pleasure.
I would move to accept
As a response.
as a response to the meeting law complaint dated March 30th, 2012 by Deputy Bennett.
Is there a second?
Can't hear you.
I move to accept the response
to the open meeting law complaint dated March 30th, 2012, from Jeffrey Bennett.
There is a second. I'll second it to move it along. Is there any other comments?
I just want to say that, I understand why Jeff wrote the complaint, but at the same time, my feeling was not that the police officer was trying to block people from coming into the room. And we need to move past all this hostility so we can get things done for the town.
Oh, hey.
Can I speak?
That's your warning.
I've been sitting up here and fighting with all sides, basically, lately. And, I'm tired of it. I want us to get along so we can get work done in this town. And we can't do it by complaining against each other every 2 minutes. And we need to move forward, people. We need to move forward.
Anyone else on the board? I think I saw Mr. Boyd first.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know that, did all these select people, did they sign that letter? Because I heard that you said that the board went along with it. Did everybody sign their signatures to that?
No, this is just a response.
Yeah, but you did say that the board agreed with what was going on. Did they sign that paper?
No.
Or is that just your assumption of what they did?
No, nobody signed it. Diana?
It's just my perception as a taxpayer. I was at that meeting, and it did feel like that policeman was there to block entrance to the room. That's my perception as a taxpayer. And I also remember that you asked people to leave to make the audience smaller. I remember hearing that.
Two people in the hallway, and they're here tonight, offered to leave because we were 2 people over the 47 at that point.
Yes, but I also remember Mr. Columbus not outright saying, I need people to leave, but you implied it, and then some left.
But I asked if anybody that didn't have business on a particular item, if they could wait outside until their subject came up.
Well, I just want people to know that you were asked to leave. I feel that
It was just a request if they didn't have business on that particular
So
item.
we're not entitled to attend an open meeting.
Yes, you are.
That's why we moved it to the statute.
Not according to your response.
Yes.
Raymond Rader.
Yes.
I wasn't aware. I attended, and I've been elected and also appointed to boards in other towns around here. There's a quorum for a town meeting, or you have town meeting. There's a quorum for the board here, but there's not a quorum for these people out here. There's nothing says in any rule or regulation that you have to make 50 seats because 50 people show up. And nothing says that you have to have everybody that wants to talk here to talk. You have to take turns. As long as the people come here to these meetings, they come here with anger. And what Mr. Stewart said there is they come here trying to get something done. You have different people, different factions. Well, gather their group here and everything. If they ask you questions, they're making accusations. Until these people out here start to learn how to know the rules and regulations like they should, is to condemn the people up here, you people in the select board, or any person that's an employee of this town from their job or what their duties. You guys represent all these people out here and all of them that's not here. For years, there was people here in this town, not 3%, one time 1/50th of the people who ever attended any of these meetings or town meetings, and sometimes their town meetings didn't even have a quorum, you couldn't have a meeting. But this past year, because of circumstances and what was going on, and a couple of recalls and so forth like this, if I had my way, there would have been another recall.
Take the papers out, I'll be the first one to sign them for you, see how far you get.
Just a minute. But I decided to wait. But I've seen these meetings, and then last Monday night, I was watching it there. I was at the meeting when Mr. Ritter was hired, and I was sitting up in front. And I made a comment then to the chairman here, that was at the time, about funding for, they serve different buildings and stuff that own, that they're gonna have a maintenance contract. If they're no longer using it, why have a maintenance contract? And she answered me. But most of these people, and what I usually require, if I usually require from you people here, I'll ask a question, I'll have it wrote down, I'll present it to you, and I'll require written in there. The paper, Andre Camus and these other people from Gardner News and these other newspapers around here, they've been talking about freedom of the press. But freedom of speech and so forth, it only works one way for them. What you read in the newspaper is not always the truth, and like this gentleman over here said he read. That's all I got to say about it.
Thank you very much. Kenny, I guess you're next.
Chris, I feel wholeheartedly with you with what you're feeling. I think there is frustration everywhere, and it's just sad. I don't know if about anybody else, but I am a wreck. I'm losing my hair, my hands are all, my eczema is horrible. It's just horrible that you can't get along, and it's like people can't even trust anybody anymore, and it's just breaking my heart. And it's like if you took all the negativity and put it to positive and going forward and not being so petty, then maybe we could get along and get what you want. I mean, it is give and take, but right now it seems like take, and we're giving, and it's like, to me, that's just not right. As a person, as a resident, as a taxpayer, people need to respect each other, and it starts with you.
Robert, you said everybody sign, took that course on ethics or sign that paper, took the course, right? On open meeting laws, you have it written down, that everybody signed the paper and took the course?
Yes, everybody's, it's all on file.
No, or yes?
Yes, it's on file.
You see the signatures, they're on file? They took the course?
It's a course online, Pete.
No. That's it. Two different things. Ethics and open meeting, two different things. Ethics is the one you people take online. We all take it online and it's tedious. Sorry. You need to jump in here.
Yes.
I attended both, the ethics committee for the ethics, and also Alive, but not on net. I do not have net for over 2 years. I'm not on the net. Computers are a tool to use at work, for entertainment or to, just to visit or converse with people. That's a misuse of computers. There's people out here that, voters, that don't have computers. And if everything is based on, you got to go on the net, go on the .com, so forth like this, go on the town thing, whatever, you're missing a lot of people out here that you're not representing. If you're always, the emphasis is going on the computer. Because there's a lot of people, old, young, and whatever, that don't have access to a computer or don't have a computer, like choice or circumstance.
There's somebody over here, right here in the front, yes.
I was at both of those meetings, and we knew that everyone had to leave. Police officer was in the doorway. The way I remember it was, he wasn't in the doorway. He wasn't letting any more people in. And he asked you to stop the meeting. And then he called the fire chief or whoever to see how many people were allowed in that room. It was posted out there. They called anyway, and then you just kept trying to go on with the meeting until he told you what was told to him and that we had to leave.
The police chief, I believe, called the fire chief to see the capacity.
Right.
He came down.
Right.
At that point, we had not conducted any business. We're just
But
waiting.
you kept trying to. And people were out in the hall and they couldn't participate.
We did adjourn as soon as we got the word that we had to stop.
Yes, that's what the police chief insisted, you're right. And as far as Chris goes, I totally agree with you. I think it's time to get business going in this town, to get a decent school for our kids, to get a senior center for our elderly, and to stop all this rigmarole. And there's so many people coming now, including myself, who never came before, because we don't trust the board. I'm sorry. I think you should all learn to work together for the taxpayers.
Well, thank you very much. That's what the goal is. That's what we're trying to do. In the back, I think it's Bob.
Yeah, I would, Mr. Dennis, if the town has appointed a liaison with the ethics department.
No, they have not.
And why wouldn't you do that? I mean, that's not a hard thing to do.
No.
We're remain unethical because it's easy. I don't quite understand why you haven't done this. I mean, I called up the ethics department again today, and I couldn't even get a hold of anybody to find out who they would talk to. Way off the track here. When I do get a hold of someone, I'd be able to say, we have appointed someone.
No, but do you have a piece of paper from the Ethics Commission that says we need to appoint a person for that?
Yes.
Why are people holding up signs over there?
Yes.
But hey, we're getting off track here. Yeah, Rich?
Can we get back on the subject?
Yeah.
We're way off the subject here.
What's the board's decision here? We ready for any more comments on the board?
I think we should accept what's here and move on.
Right, okay. Jeff?
No.
Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
You have abstained, and I'll say yes. Act on quote for generator installation at Emergency Management Office. Rich, we have one quote.
Yep.
And it's from Rayborn Electric.
Right.
For $29.75.
Correct. And that's a good figure. I called them and actually went down there and talked to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So what we're looking for is that amount to pay Rayborn to do the connection to the building.
Yeah.
And if it's possible to go no more than $4,000 out of the account, including that, just to take care of the cement slab and the.
Okay. So you want to make it up to
all the labor is going to be done voluntary.
Up to, so you want to make it up to 4,000.
Right. Not to exceed 4,000.
Okay. As we said last week, there was, I think, enough money in the building repairs account. And I think we voted just under 12,000 for the highway generator. Yes, there's 36,734. So with that other one we voted, it'd be figured down about 25, and up to 4 would figure down to still be 21,000 in that account. So any board members have any thoughts? Yes.
I think it's a no-brainer. We have to have the emergency generator at the emergency station. I mean, that's where they do the command center. So I think I would make a motion to accept up to $4,000 for the installation of the generator and the pouring of the slab.
And for the emergency management building. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion on the board? Yeah.
Is one quote enough? Shouldn't you get 3 quotes?
I believe they did, and that's still good.
Rich?
Not for that amount. You don't need that.
Okay.
Sue,
Just could you repeat the numbers you just read? I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't catch them.
for the, in the amount, in the
Yeah,
account?
it was in the account, or someone else.
Yeah. The building repairs is 36,734.09. And I think we voted 11,900 for the highway generator last week, or the other night. And this one will be up to 4,000. Four. Up to 4,000.
Sorry, just want to make sure my furnace is
Oh, it's coming.
Okay, any other comments from the board? The motion is made, second. Any questions? I think I saw Dan and then you went.
Thank you. I had some difficulty hearing, but I think I heard that there was a quote from Rayborn for around 2,900.
Correct.
So if there's a quote for 2,900, why are we spending up to 4,000? That's not clear to me.
It was up for the cement slab, was it, Rich?
We have to put a cement slab down to anchor it to, and we also have to build a small shed or something to cover the whole thing to keep kids away from it, basically.
And who's going to do that work?
We have a contractor who is my assistant director, Mike Dixon. He's going to head it up, and it's all going to be done on volunteer work. And you just need the mic from the first.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Ed, yes.
Anybody looked into the possibility of getting surplus generators?
It is a surplus
That's
generator.
that's what it is, Ed.
A surplus generator
Yes.
for 2,900?
No, that's just the installation of it.
Just the installation.
We already have it.
We already have it.
It seems an awful expensive for an installation.
Well, the one at the highway barn just went to just under 12,000 to install it. And that is a donated, not a donated, but a government issue generator as well. So it's very, very small money compared to the larger building.
Okay, nothing else? Let's take the vote. Jeff?
I abstain, my sister works for Rayborn.
Okay. Chris?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, discuss and act on temporary replacement for the fire chief. Discuss advertising for a full-time chief. Act on the temporary replacement of fire chief. Deputy Chief Larry Bankowski contacted me and informed me he was interested in this position. He says he's been on the department for over about 34 years. He says he's willing to take it on temporarily to start with, and until we can go out for a permanent one, if that's what the board chooses to do. I know Larry's been a long, dedicated fireman for a lot of years. Does anybody else on the board have any comments about Larry?
I also talked to Mr. Bankowski, and I've also talked to two other area chiefs who voluntarily, I talked to them after they sent us recommendations for Mr. Bankowski. So I would move that for the time we appoint Mr. Bankowski as the interim chief until we decide to go out.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second just to move it along till we get some more discussion?
Yeah, I'll second with discussion.
All right. Does anybody else on the board have a comment on Larry?
I've actually spoken with Larry and with another member of the fire department, and I've read the letter from the chief. And for the permanent position, obviously we're going to go out and do interviews and whatnot, but I would, for the temporary, I would probably prefer to follow the recommendation of the chief. That's my opinion.
Anyone else on the board have any comment?
Sure.
First off, I just want to put it in the meeting minutes and stuff that I'm a former firefighter. I used to work for the fire department in town here. I believe my name is still on the roster, but I've not been active or received any pay from the fire department for several years, probably as far back as 2006. So that out of the way. I just also, Dave Dickey is the other choice, and the deputy chief as well. So the captain and the deputy chief. Why wouldn't you go with a deputy chief is what I'm kind of wondering. If he's the deputy chief now, why is he no good for, he didn't recommend him in his letter, he recommended Dave. I'd like to hear from the chief.
Tom, you'd like to, we got your letter here, so would you like to speak? You come up forward if you would like.
I think people will be able to hear me from here.
All right.
Basically, my reason on the recommendation was to take nothing away from Deputy Chief Fankowski. He's been a very dedicated and is a very dedicated member of our department. On the interim basis, my opinion was that we should get as close to what we currently have as far as an EMT. I know a lot of times during the daytime I respond to medical calls. A lot of time the chief is looked to as a medical responder in this town. I certainly, I respect as far as his dedication wanting to do the job, and I have spoken with him, and I would certainly encourage him putting in for the full-time position and going to get his EMT in that. Currently right now, I just feel it's going to be a short-term basis. I would hope it'd be a short-term basis. That certainly would be at the discrepancy of the board on how soon they post it. And I'm basically just looking to see what's best to guide the department in the interim. I mean, the interim's not made to be a permanent position. It's made to just guide them until the full-time person can be hired. That was my reasoning on that.
Okay, Larry, did you want to speak?
Yeah.
Can you, Larry, can you come here? Nobody can hear you up here.
Yes, I'm the current deputy chief. Been on the department now for 34 years. I feel I'm more than well capable of doing the job. I am not an EMT at this time. I plan on taking the course to be an EMT. As far as responding, I do respond to calls, medical calls. It's just that if we do not have 2 EMTs, we cannot transport, which would be the only difference on that. We do have over 20 EMTs on the department, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have more than 2 EMTs showing up for a call. It should not always depend on the chief being the second EMT. Thank you.
Devlin?
Bob, why can't the board let the fire department, the guys on the department themselves, decide amongst themselves who's going to get this job? They have to work together. Then you don't have favoritism from anybody else. Wouldn't that be a better option?
Well, my understanding is Larry is well respected within the department also. And
I think it should come from those guys.
In my mind, he's the deputy chief. He's the next in line. He would be the next one in line. Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, I am David Dickey, captain of the department. I heard what someone up front said about letting the department members decide, and I really don't agree with that. It's not something that's meant to be a popularity contest with the members of the department. This is not a decision that should be splitting our department in 2 or 3 factions. We have given professional service to the town of Templeton for a lot of years. I don't want to see this change that. All we are looking for is someone to lead us now until the board can find us a new chief to lead us into the future. At present time, I do the EMS billing. I do all the computer work with the EMS billing. I do some of the inspections. And in the chief's absence in the past, I have answered calls, returned messages, set up. That's it. Nothing against the deputy chief. If he is chosen interim, I will work with him. I will do as he asks. I have no issue with that. And if for some reason I am chosen, I hope that anyone else would have the same respect for me. But you would have to ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
I believe that this is a decision that has to be made by the Board of Selectmen. You've got two recommendations in front of you. One from the current fire chief until he leaves. I'm sorry. You have one recommendation from the fire chief, and then you have a different recommendation for the deputy fire chief, which would follow chain of command. I believe your decision, what you should look at, okay, how many fire calls are made versus how many EMT calls are made. I believe that that is an important factor. If the person that you appoint as interim fire chief is not an EMT, and you have a lot more EMT calls, then I believe that that would be a detriment to the people. I believe that that was something that you should take into consideration. It's not to pit one against the other, but it's to look at what is going to serve the people the best in the interim until you find a full-time chief.
Yes. Chief Smith is going to Winston. Winston Lafreni retired in July. He's still acting chief until Mr. Smith comes aboard. There's no reason why Mr. Smith can't still be acting chief here until you appoint somebody else or he goes over to that board.
Yeah, it'll be made, the appointment will be made effective when he's retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that lady first and then you, Pete.
Thank you. I believe the deputy chief, it's like anything. If he's the deputy chief, he's the next in line. That's the way it should go. And he shouldn't be doing that. He should be concentrating on seeing if there's people there that need to be saved. That's why we have EMTs. If he's deputy chief, if he's good enough to be deputy chief, then he should be good enough to be chief.
Thanks. Thank you. Peter?